Hey, never take loans to start a business you don't know jack about. If you are ever able to take a loan, make sure it's on a business you already know stuff about. You are already running, you already understand the ins and outs of the business, and now you can tell by this amount of loan you are getting will be able to make you this amount of progress. If it's an uncharted territory, humble yourself. Start with the littlest amount of funds and then see what you can find there. Now, this is not just about loans. There are people that, when they want to start a business, they think of the end product and then they want to start at the end product. I'm going to give two examples. The first example is, as a software engineer, I see that a lot with clients. When Facebook or when Instagram first started, do you know that Instagram does not have a chat feature? People could not chat each other on Instagram. That even some of the like and follow feature, save message feature, all these things weren't there on Instagram. The ability to have multiple accounts wasn't there on Instagram. Same thing with Twitter. I still remember when Twitter integrated chat. But at the end of the day, when a client approaches a software engineer, it says build an Instagram or a social media app for me. And then they list all the features Instagram has. And then they start paying for the developer to build it. Do you know how long it took Instagram to have all the features? More than 5 to 7 years. The features you're seeing on Instagram now, remember that they had about $500,000 in the beginning. They had money, but even with all that money, they launched with only a few features. And every new year, they add an extra feature every extra year. So if you're trying to build an app or a software project and you list all the features, you will never launch. Your app will never go live. You know why? Because you keep developing and developing and developing and building and building and building and building for 5 years. By the time you know what is happening, the funds you allocated for that project is exhausted or the market has moved on. You understand? You're trying to build something like Pokemon Go. Before you know it, NFTs are out. Before you know it, NFTs are gone. Another new thing is now Metaverse. Now Metaverse is gone, you know? Before you finish building Pokemon, nobody wants it again. It's the same thing within the streets. People want to start a business. Let's say somebody wants to start a makeup shop. You know, you have not done makeup business before. You just learned to do makeup, or you never do the business. Instead of starting with a small, humble something and run it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever amount of time you feel okay, before you now bring in the big guns, before you now bring in the money, before you sell your father's land, before you do this and do that. You get what I'm saying? Most people will go to town and rent the largest hall, spend 50 million naira decorating the walls, putting POP, shiny lights, you know, Christmas light everywhere, you know, this, that, buying, importing equipment from China, and then even hiring staff from Sweden, paying for their visa. Staff will come back to the country and resume work, only for you to find out that you're in the wrong location. Shock you. Customers don't know the place. You get, now you have to run for 2-3 years before customers start knowing that there is a makeup shop down the road there. Meanwhile, your money is gone. This is how many businesses die, because somebody did not want to start small. Ego. Same thing with houses. When you're broke, you need a cheap house, period. And you stay in that cheap house just a little bit longer than necessary. Here's what I mean by longer than necessary. Let's say your salary is 100,000 naira. The house you should get has to be 2 months of your salary, period. Okay, any house you're living in, if it costs more than 2 months of your salary, it's costing too much. You're living too high. So let's say your salary is 100,000 and you get a house of 200,000 naira. Okay, that's fair. 200,000 below is fair. Now you stay on that until your salary grows to, let's say, 500,000. Okay. Now you stay a little extra. Let's say you stay extra 6 months or extra 1 year, I don't know, on that 200,000 naira house. Staying there helps you to save all your 500,000 naira per month. You save a lot, okay? And when you move to the bigger house of 1 million naira per year, it will not be too much for you, okay? You are staying fluid, you're staying liquid, you're staying rich, okay? Even though you look like the average guy, you have confidence because there's a lot of money that you have in store. You can make investments and take risks, okay, because you have money. But if you change house the first day your salary increases, you will still be in the same kind of position. Yes, you're living in a better house, but now You're living in a tight financial condition. Okay, that's not wealth, that's suffering. Even if you live in a mansion, if you don't have liquid, if you're not fluid, if you don't have money somewhere sitting that gives you confidence, you're actually struggling. So watch the way you spend and tell yourself sometimes the truth that this is ego. So some people will say, I cannot live in such a place, I cannot live in such a, because of that you go and borrow loan, or you go and live somewhere that is way more expensive than your income. Now you are living in somewhere that is way more expensive than your income. You can't even buy a car again. You understand? You have to trek to work every day for the rest of the year or the rest of 2 years. Because what? Your house rent is too expensive. Same thing with a car. Even if you have 50 million naira, you should not buy a 20, 30 million naira car. You understand? You have to buy something around 10 million. You understand? Somewhere around 10, 15% of your income. Because a car is a liability in most cases. So something around that so that you can have some savings. Those savings will help you take risks. Those savings will help you do other things, okay? Until your money grows, then you can change the car. It's ego that makes people blow all the money they have. And this is coming from days of poverty. When you're poor, you can't do this kind of thing. Like if you're flat poor, it means that every money that comes for the day is exactly the money you need to survive for the day. So the concept of delayed gratification is not there at all. So when you're poor, you go and work all day and you make 1,000 naira. Okay, that 1,000 naira is exactly your feeding money for the day. Same thing with when you're in the university, your parents send you money. If you calculate the money they sent you, it's exactly the money they calculated everything. African parents are so smart with that kind of calculation. It's exactly the money you use for the day. After you've eaten and bought pure water, boom, money has finished for that day. Now, this is during your development period, first times you are having money on your own to do something. What's going to happen is that it forms a terrible foundation for you. Now, when you now get 1 million, 10 million, 15 million, you don't face the spending again. You want to blow the whole 15 million at once. And that is how you go all the way back to poverty. Some people hear about this shiny new business that if you put 100 million naira there, within 2 months, you have got 200 million naira. You know, it's very popular in Nigeria. So at the end of the day, what happens is that instead of people, like now you really want to try it out, they have convinced you, instead of taking a small percentage of your money to try it out and have patience for 2 months to see what's going to happen, some people will go and carry all their money and put their boom and then live on hope. That is poverty. You never put all your money in one basket, never. That is why if you ever see somebody that got rich slowly, they never go poor, they never go broke. No matter what financial challenge they have, you hear that his car got stolen, his this is that, he's always able to bounce back because there's always somewhere where there's reserve. So you have to get into this mentality of delayed gratification. One last story, there was this scientist, they did some experiments, okay, I think in the US back in the 70s, in a kindergarten, okay, they got some apples, found children that loved apples, got some apples. They left the children in an empty room, okay, with an apple on the plate and the table, and they told the children, if you take this apple and eat it now, that's all the apple you'll ever get. But if you can just wait for another 30 minutes, you will have 4 apples. That's all the apples you need in a day. All right. Now, these children wanted 4 apples, but what they noticed is that some went for the apple immediately. Okay, the moment the instructor went out, they grabbed the apple and ate it. Now, some children were able to wait for that 30 minutes, even though they were hungry, they were able to demonstrate delayed gratification. Finally, when it was enough time, they took it and ate it. Later on, about 20, 30 years later, they went and studied those kids again. They tracked them where they were doing in life. They found out that those ones that demonstrated delayed gratification at childhood were way richer, way more successful than those ones that took it. So this is something you have to incorporate into your life.